In the heart of bustling Manhattan, where skyscrapers touch the clouds and power hides behind glittering galas, there is a young woman named Emily Carter, a top-tier nanny meticulously trained by the Elite Agency, an exclusive program every professional caregiver in America dreams of joining. But Emily is unlike anyone else. Though she ranked first in her training batch, she always finds ways to steer clear of high-profile or underground clients. To her colleagues, Emily is a quiet, guarded soul. Yet once she steps into her role, no one can outshine her. However, she was often overlooked because of her gentle and cautious personality. But once she got to work, she was absolutely brilliant. One day, all the nannies in the elite group were summoned for a very important client visit. Everyone was instructed to gather in the meeting room. Only Emily didn't comply. She disliked being chosen by arrogant clients. She had been approached by many mafia bosses, billionaires, and businessmen, but she always deliberately caused trouble so they would give up on hiring her. Rumor had it that the one coming was a wealthy mafia boss who would personally select a nanny. He was said to be tall, handsome, and carried a cold, commanding presence. When she heard her colleagues whispering excitedly, Emily just shook her head and walked into the lounge, sitting down beside the piano. She began to play a melody, one that echoed in her mind, though she didn't know its name or origin. Her eyes closed, her fingers glided across the keys, guided by pure emotion. The piano's gentle notes still lingered in the vast living room, blending with the faint shimmer of city lights beyond the glass walls. Emily kept her eyes closed, letting the music guide the scattered fragments of her memory. But just a few steps away, her fate was about to shift. Down the hallway, two tiny pairs of feet tiptoed closer. Ethan and Riley Sullivan, the twin children of Nathan Sullivan, one of New York's most feared mafia bosses, peered wide-eyed at the unfamiliar woman by the piano. "Wow, she's like a fairy, Riley," Ethan whispered, his innocent eyes sparkling. Riley nodded, gripping her brother's hand as they held their breath to catch every note. When Emily stopped and turned, startled by their applause, she saw two beaming little faces. "Did you like it?" she asked softly, caught off guard by their bright, eager eyes. "Yes. Can you teach us, please?" Riley's voice trembled with hopeful pleading. Emily couldn't help but smile. Her usual guarded demeanor melted in front of their wide, trusting eyes. She shifted on the bench, gesturing. "Come here, I'll teach you some basic chords." The twins ran to her, squeezing in on either side, their tiny fingers poking random keys. Laughter bubbled through the grand room, a sound so foreign in this mafia-guarded mansion that it felt almost unreal. But their moment of joy was abruptly cut short by the echo of firm footsteps down the hall. A tall figure emerged at the doorway, Nathan Sullivan imposing in a tailored suit, eyes like cold steel sweeping over the scene, piano, Emily, and his children clinging to a stranger. Then Riley. "What's going on here?" Nathan's deep voice rolled out like a command, and the air tensed. Ethan bit his lip, stumbling over his words. "Daddy, we found our piano teacher. She's amazing. Can she stay with us? Please?" Emily rose quickly and dipped her head, feeling Nathan's intense gaze dissecting every detail about her, a wolf catching the scent of an intruder on his turf. "Miss Carter, right? You're not meant to be alone with them," Nathan said coolly, voice calm yet edged with power. "Forgive me, sir. I was only playing to pass the time." "They came to me on their own," Emily murmured, eyes fixed firmly on the polished hardwood floor. Riley tugged at her father's hand, eyes pleading. "Daddy, please. We want her. Only her. She makes us happy." Nathan's eyes flicked to Emily. Between the marble archway and the soft piano light, their eyes locked. For the first time, his possessive stare sent a faint chill down her spine. "Very well," Nathan's tone cut through the tension. "From now on, you'll be their nanny, and you will not leave this house without my permission. Understood?" Emily clenched her hands at her sides, bowing deeper. Deep inside, something fluttered. She couldn't tell if it was for the sweet twins or for the dangerous man who just bound her fate with a single unyielding sentence. Nathan's decision that night settled like a silent verdict. From a free agent nanny, Emily Carter suddenly became the sole person trusted to care for Ethan and Riley, the twins guarded like priceless treasures within the Sullivan clan. Her first morning in this new role, Emily rose before dawn, long before the sun filtered through thick silk curtains. She quietly cracked open the twins' bedroom door and watched them sleep soundly, their eyelashes fluttering as dawn's faint glow touched their rosy cheeks. She brushed Ethan's hair aside, tugged Riley's blanket back over his tiny shoulders. Before either child even stirred, breakfast was already neatly arranged on the long dining table. The Sullivan Mansion's head chef cast Emily a cautious look. No one here dared interfere with the twins' routine without direct orders from the boss. But Emily moved as if she belonged, buttoning uniforms, straightening bows, scrubbing ink stains off Riley's fingers, dabbing ointment on Ethan's scraped knee. Small acts of care that sank deep into two young hearts long deprived of a mother's gentle touch. As for Nathan, though he said nothing, his eyes betrayed him each time Emily passed by his study. Through the half-open oak door, he'd often catch glimpses. Emily crouched beside Ethan, blotting juice off his shirt, or softly reminding Riley not to chew his pencils. Some frozen corner inside Nathan, carved by bullets and blood-soaked deals, slowly thawed at such simple scenes. At night, Emily made rounds to check the twins' room herself, ensuring no stranger came too close to their window. Once, she caught a guard dozing in the hallway. She didn't scold him, just tapped his shoulder gently, watched him jolt awake, and offered a kind smile that left him red-faced with shame. One late night, Ethan suddenly spiked a fever. Emily scooped him up, rushing downstairs for warm water, sponging him down, then cradling his head in her lap until dawn. When Riley woke and found his brother safe in Emily's arms, she only burrowed against Emily's shoulder, drifting back to sleep to the rhythm of a protective heartbeat. At sunrise, Nathan stood silently at the twins' door. He leaned against the frame, watching. Emily slumped on the floor, hair a tangled mess from an all-nighter, yet a faint smile played on her lips as Riley shifted in dreamland. In that moment, Nathan's eyes held no Mafia steel. They reflected something far rarer, a man seeing for the first time that within the fortress he'd built around his heart, there now existed a crack named Emily Carter. In the days that followed, Emily adapted. She learned to nod at the armed men in black suits patrolling the marble hallways, learned to accept living in a fortress disguised as a home, and in this high-walled mansion of threats and secrets, she found the simplest kind of peace. The laughter of two children as she scratched their backs before bedtime. Unwittingly, she had become an inseparable piece of the Sullivan family, a piece Nathan himself no longer had the will to push out of his guarded world. After a few weeks, Emily grew accustomed to the unspoken rules of Sullivan Mansion. Surrounded by cold-faced guards and hushed dealings, her world revolved entirely around Ethan and Riley, the only warm flickers in this fortress of power. Nathan, ever the busy father, entrusted Emily fully with the twins' daily routine. His orders were clear. Never let them out of your sight, not even at school. If anything happens, you're the first to know. Each morning, Emily walked the twins down the marble hallway, giving a polite nod to the guards before ushering them into the sleek black car bound for Manhattan's most exclusive international school. Yet all the privilege in the world couldn't shield the boys from childhood cruelty. One afternoon, as the dismissal bell rang, Emily spotted Ethan racing toward her, eyes brimming with tears, chin quivering with hurt and rage. "Ethan, sweetheart, what happened?" Emily knelt down, brushing his hair gently aside. "My bag. They took it. And someone put gum in my hair," he sniffled, pointing at the sticky mess. Emily's eyes darkened. She soothed Ethan's back, then took his hand, marching him straight back to the playground, where a handful of entitled kids snickered among themselves. "Who did this to my boy?" Emily's voice dropped low, her stare as cold as winter ice. A blonde boy sneered back at her. "He's a crybaby. He doesn't even have a mommy, loser." The word loser had barely left his lips when Riley charged in, shoving the boy with a ferocity that surprised everyone. Within seconds, The kids erupted into a squabbling circle of shouting and pushing. Worse still, a woman, likely the blonde boy's mother, stood by with arms crossed, nose in the air. "Hey, Nanny, this is kids' business. Stay out of it." Emily inhaled slowly. Every lesson in polite conflict resolution from the elite agency vanished in an instant. She stepped forward, planting herself squarely in front of Riley, eyes locked on the smug woman. "So you taught your Brad to bully mine, huh?" Emily's words dripped with venom. The woman laughed, a cruel twist of her lips. "Look at you, just a maid pretending to be a mother. Pathetic." That was the final straw. Emily seized a fistful of the woman's hair, yanking her down so fast a shriek split the playground. The other children froze, eyes wide at the sight no one dared interrupt. "Next time you teach your kid to mess with mine, I'll bury your fancy hair right in this sandbox," Emily growled, pressing the woman's face closer to the gritty ground. Screams, whimpers, and mischievous cheers from a few kids surrounded them. School security and the principal came running, pulling them apart. Inside the principal's office, Emily sat opposite the disheveled woman, whose cheek still bore red finger marks. "Miss Carter, you're the adult. You were supposed to stop the fight, not create more chaos," the principal scolded sternly. Emily leaned forward, hands flat on the desk, eyes unblinking at her opponent. "I don't regret it. She deserved it for raising a bully." The woman opened her mouth to retort, but the door swung open. Nathan Sullivan strode in, black suit, razor-sharp eyes that cut the tension in an instant. "Is there a problem with how my children are being treated here?" Nathan asked, voice calm yet edged with quiet menace. No one dared to breathe. Only Emily in that moment understood more deeply than ever. Mafia boss or not, this man would never forgive anyone who dared hurt his children. After the fight at school, Emily became more vigilant than ever. She never let Ethan and Riley slip from her sight, not even for a heartbeat. She knew all too well, any child bearing the Sullivan name was a prime trophy for those seeking to shatter Nathan's empire. But enemies never sleep. One afternoon, just as the final bell rang, Emily greeted the boys as usual. Ethan grinned wide. Riley skipped beside him, showing off a new sticker from his teacher. They were halfway down the hallway toward the main gate when Emily froze. A sharp, icy chill prickled her spine. Her elite agency training screamed a silent alarm. Ahead, a broad-shouldered man in a baseball cap was closing in. His pace wrong, his gaze locked straight on them. In the blink of an eye, Emily yanked the boys closer. "Run, don't stop." Her voice was steel. Footsteps scrambled. Children screamed as the man lunged, grabbing Riley's wrist. Emily didn't hesitate. She slammed forward, locked his arm, twisted him down hard onto the tile floor. But others surged in from the corridors, faceless in the chaos. The boys cried out, voices lost in the terrified shuffle of other parents and teachers backing away. Emily hugged Riley to her chest, roaring, "Ethan, run to the gate!" But Ethan froze, too young to process. He stood rooted as another man scooped Riley from her arms. In a heartbeat, Emily spun, her heel snapping against a thug's knee. He crumpled. But a black van screeched curbside, side door flung wide. It was all slow motion. Riley was tossed inside. Ethan's scream pierced her ears. The van door slammed shut. The engine howled. "No!" Emily roared, bolting past shocked parents outside the school gates. She grabbed the handlebars of a delivery guy's idling scooter, shouting, "I'll return this, I swear," and sped off before he could protest. Through Manhattan's clogged avenues, the black van darted recklessly, weaving through traffic. Emily crouched low over the handlebars, wind tearing at her face. Only one thing mattered: bring them back. The van cut sharply into an alley. Emily jerked the scooter, nearly fishtailing, tires squealing as she shot up onto the sidewalk, weaving past trash bins and iron fences. She gained ground as the van slowed, blocked by a lumbering garbage truck ahead. 4 men spilled out, guns drawn, firing wildly. Emily dove from the scooter mid-roll, crashing between 2 parked cars, her breath ragged. A bullet grazed her hairline, searing hot. One thug advanced, assuming she was hit. Emily narrowed her eyes, waited, then smashed her elbow into his throat, wrested his gun free, and fired twice, quick and brutal. A muffled sob from inside the van snapped her back. She bolted upright, rounded the back door, shattered the window with the stolen gun's butt. Ethan shrieked and scrambled out. Riley clung tight to Emily's neck. "Stay with me. Don't look," she yelled, backing them behind an abandoned box truck for cover. Sirens wailed at the alley's far end. Red and blue lights flickered like salvation. Seeing the flashing squad cars, the remaining kidnappers scattered, ditching the van in panic. Emily crouched, pressing Ethan and Riley against her, her sweat-soaked back shielding them from danger she refused to let near. Her voice broke in a whisper as her heart thundered against their tiny ribs. "I've got you." After the kidnapping attempt, security at Sullivan Mansion tightened tenfold. Nathan Sullivan personally oversaw every guard, every camera, every exit. Emily was under strict orders never to step outside without an escort. Yet, within these ironclad walls, Emily felt the shift in Nathan's eyes. He no longer kept his distance. Each night, once the boys drifted into sleep, he summoned her to the library, officially for daily reports, but both knew something more dangerous than bullets was stirring between them. One stormy night, lightning split the New York skyline. Emily stepped into the library to find Nathan alone, sleeves rolled up, a glass of whiskey swirling beside a stack of thick files. "Sit down," he said lowly, eyes locked on hers, as if peeling away her every guarded thought. Emily sat opposite him, hands tightly knotted in her lap. "Tell me," Nathan murmured, voice even but eyes dark as a storm tide. "When you chased after them, what did you think about?" She drew a breath, unflinching. "I thought if I lost them, I'd never forgive myself. I didn't care who I was, or who you were, only the boys." Silence settled like a blade between them. Then Nathan let out a quiet, humorless laugh. "Sometimes I wonder who's more willing to die for them in this house, you or me." He rose, circling behind her chair. His hand landed on her shoulder, solid, warm, sending her pulse into chaos. "If I loved you, Emily Carter, would you destroy me too?" he whispered, breath searing against her ear. Emily froze, hands trembling, that question more lethal than any gun she'd ever faced. She looked up, eyes fierce, even in fear. "Then let's destroy each other together." But the tender moment shattered. A shrill alarm cut through the quiet, red lights flashing along the hallway. A guard burst in. "Boss, Johnny Knox's crew hit the east wing." Nathan's touch dropped away, his eyes turned blade sharp. Emily watched the boys, no matter what. But Emily shook her head, stubborn fire in her eyes. "I'm staying with you. I know how to fight, Nathan." He paused, but there was no time to argue. Together they raced down the marble corridor as gunshots cracked through the rain-heavy air. Strangers in black coats, tattooed, brandishing bats, knives, even handguns, stormed the mansion's courtyard. Emily snatched up a baseball bat leaning by a pillar and swung into the fray. A hulking man lunged with a blade. She ducked low, cracked the bat against his skull. Blood sprang across the stone tiles. Beside her, Nathan fired his Glock methodically, dropping anyone who got too close. The battle raged across the rain-slick courtyard. Screams, bullets, the clash of metal, it all fused into a brutal symphony echoing through the storm. Emily wiped blood from her cheek, found Nathan's eyes. Amid the chaos, his stare anchored her, a silent vow. "Don't let me lose you." Suddenly, a man aimed a shot at Nathan, but missed. Then, from behind, another attacker rushed forward and drove a dagger deep into his side. "Boss!" the bodyguard shouted, but Nathan only gritted his teeth and turned, shooting the attacker dead. Blood spread across his shirt. Emily felt her heart sink, but her body ignited with fierce determination. She clutched Nathan tightly and pulled him back toward the library, her furious gaze locking onto the last man standing. The moment he saw the scene, the attacker spun around and bolted through the window. His footsteps merged with the pounding rain like war drums in the night. Silence settled under the echo of thunder and gun smoke. Emily knelt, pressing her trembling hands to Nathan's wound, feeling warmth seep through her fingers. "Stubborn girl," Nathan rasped, sweat streaking his temple. "Shut up," Emily snapped, voice cracking. "I told you not to die." She tore open his shirt, wiping blood away, binding the wound with strips torn from her own nightdress. Nathan's eyes darkened as she bent close, his hand lifting to catch a stray lock of her hair, anchoring her near. "Aren't you afraid of me?" he whispered raggedly. She met his gaze, eyes bright, fierce. "I'm more afraid of losing you." Outside, lightning carved white scars across the window, but beneath the thunder, their breaths tangled, hot and reckless. When Nathan gripped her hand and drew her down, she didn't resist. Their first kiss landed hard, tasting of blood, rain, and whiskey, a collision of two iron hearts cracking wide open. That night, in a library reeking of gunpowder, two fierce souls surrendered to a closeness words could never name. After that bloody night, Sullivan Mansion still knew no true peace. Nathan stayed busy commanding his men to hunt down Johnny Knox, but every night he paused at the children's door, watching them sleep soundly in Emily's embrace, a fleeting calm to soothe the storm in his chest. Meanwhile, Emily faced dreams that clawed at her mind, a blood-soaked hand, the wails of a newborn, a man shouting her name through panic and gunfire. Every morning she woke drenched in cold sweat, heart racing, unable to tell if they were memories or nightmares. One evening, Nathan unexpectedly invited his father, William Sullivan Sr., the legendary patriarch, back to the mansion. The old man's silver hair and steely eyes cut through shadows as he inspected every corner, as if sniffing out secrets long buried. When his gaze landed on Emily guiding Ethan and Riley through the hall, something softened. A ghost flickered in the depths of his stern eyes. After a tense dinner, William Sr. motioned for Nathan and Emily to sit in the study. He pushed an aged, worn envelope across the desk to her. "Do you remember anything, Emily Carter?" His gravelly voice hammered each word into her bones. Emily's fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a faded photograph. Herself, heavily pregnant, hair draping her shoulders, beside Nathan. Younger, his eyes less haunted than now. "This? What is this?" she stammered, lips pale. William Sr. spoke slowly, denying her any escape. "You are the biological mother of Ethan and Riley. 3 years ago, a rogue faction within the elite agency abducted you. They used drugs and memory erasure to turn you into a pawn ready to infiltrate us." Nathan's grip tightened over her hand, his eyes promising to shoulder every scar for her. "You gave birth to the twins while in captivity. I arranged for them to be rescued, spread the rumor they died to protect them. But you vanished back into elite agency's shadows with no memory of what you'd lost." William Sr. exhaled, voice cracking like old embers. Emily gasped, crushing the photo in her fists. The chaos in her head suddenly threaded together, cries in the dark, bloodied sheets, a voice whispering Emily through blurred visions. Nathan dropped to his knees, clasping her hands. "I searched for you for 3 years. Just stay, here with me and our boys, like this." Ethan and Riley peeked from the doorway, eyes wide, too young to grasp every word, but sensing with innocent hearts that the nanny they adored was in truth their mother returned. Emily buried her face in her palms, tears streaming. When she lifted her head, Riley's tiny hand rested on her cheek, her voice a warm hush. "Mommy, don't cry." In that fragile moment, Emily knew. All loss, all wounds, they had come full circle. Her family was whole again, even if shadows from the past still lingered just beyond the fortified doors of Sullivan Mansion. After Emily's past came to light, Sullivan Mansion turned into an iron fortress. Nathan knew Johnny Knox wouldn't stop until he tore the Sullivan empire to the ground. One rainy night, Nathan stood in Emily's room. His leather jacket dripped rainwater onto the polished floor, but his eyes held an unusual calm. "I won't drag you into danger again. Stay here with the boys, Emily. Tonight ends it. By the law." His voice was hoarse, but steady as stone. Emily clasped his hand tight, her eyes stripping away every worry he tried to hide. "You're not facing him alone, law or no law. I stand with you." No more words. The armored SUV rolled through rain-drenched streets toward the old docks, Johnny Knox's final hideout. On the way, Nathan spoke into his radio. "All units hold positions. Police are inbound, no gunfire unless lives are at risk." Beside him, Emily's fingers rested on her Glock, but her eyes softened, knowing tonight would end without more blood spilled. They arrived at the docks, rusted containers stacked like a cold labyrinth. Shadows flitted between the rows, barely visible through the downpour and briny fog. Nathan squeezed her hand firmly. "Stay close. Only fight back if you must." They advanced, step by step, into the abandoned warehouse. Johnny Knox lounged against a shipping crate under a flickering light, flanked by his guards. "Well, Sullivan, you think you win tonight?" Johnny sneered, voice echoing off metal walls soaked in salt and rain. Nathan's voice cut like a blade. "Tonight you're done. Prison's your only exit." The words barely left his lips before floodlights exploded across the dock. Sirens wailed as squad cars screeched in from every side. Dozens of armored officers stormed in, weapons raised, pinning Johnny's crew in place. Johnny's grin cracked, his face paling as reality sank in. "You called the cops? You sold out the underworld code?" Nathan stepped closer, unwavering. "There's no code left to protect you now, Johnny. It's over." One reckless thug pulled a gun. Emily stepped in front of Nathan like lightning, her voice a knife. "Drop it, now." The click of safeties echoed. The thug flung his pistol aside, raising his hands like the rest. Police officers swarmed in, cuffing Johnny Knox while he spat curses, eyes burning holes into Nathan and Emily as he was hauled toward a squad car. Rain hammered the docks harder. Nathan stood motionless, watching Johnny disappear behind a steel door. No gunfire, no bodies, just the sound of handcuffs and sirens breaking the dark. Emily wrapped her arms around Nathan from behind. He turned, staring at the woman who had risked everything for him and their boys. "It's done, Emily. Our family can finally breathe in peace." She smiled, whispering against his ear in the cold rain, "As long as you're here, we've always been safe." After that blood-soaked night at the docks, the shadows threatening the Sullivan family finally scattered to nothing. Johnny Knox was dead, and his remaining loyalists were hunted down by Nathan with ruthless precision. Sullivan Mansion breathed peace again, a peace born not only of guns but of a heart learning to love at last. Emily moved into the room next to Nathan's, no longer a nanny, no longer a pawn. She was Emily Carter, the only woman who could make New York's most feared mafia boss lay down his life for love. Ethan and Riley now knew the truth. The children who once shyly called her Miss Emily now clung to her legs, giggling "Mommy" down hallways patrolled by armored guards. One spring morning, as dawn light spilled through the bedroom curtains, Emily woke to the warmth of steady breaths beside her. Nathan lay close, his arm draped over her waist as if he feared letting go would make her vanish all over again. "What are you staring at?" Nathan murmured, voice thick with sleep. "You, this family I've found again," Emily whispered, tracing slow circles around the old scar on his chest, proof of all the battles he had survived. Nathan gave her a rare, soft laugh and pulled her closer, kissing her forehead. "No more losing you, I swear it." Later that day, in a garden bursting with white flowers, Nathan dropped to one knee before her. No guns, no enemies lurking in shadows, only him, Emily, and two grinning children, dirt smudged from playing among the blooms. "Emily Carter, you won't be a nanny or a ghost anymore. Be my wife. Be the mother of my sons. Be a Sullivan." Nathan's voice trembled, his eyes nakedly vulnerable in a way he showed no one else. Emily looked at Ethan and Riley, who held each other's hands, whispering cheers, then at the man before her. Once a cold-blooded wolf, now bowing for her alone. She nodded, tears spilling, but sweet as spring sunshine. Yes. Applause, laughter, little whoops of joy filled the garden. Ethan darted forward, pressing a tiny silver ring into Nathan's palm. Riley hugged her skirt, whispering, "Mommy, we did it." Their wedding wasn't the lavish affair Mafia legends boasted of. Just family, a few loyal brothers, white blooms, red wine, and vows far truer than any blood pact ever made. On their wedding night, Nathan murmured against her ear beneath crisp white sheets, "Thank you for coming back. Thank you for turning a man like me into someone terrified to lose his family." Emily smiled, brushing sweat-damp hair from his forehead, whispering back, "I didn't come back alone. I brought your heart with me." And so, the story of Emily Carter and Nathan Sullivan, Mafia, Blood and Family, closed not with gunfire, but with laughter and peaceful breaths, stretching on and on. Forever. Life after the Sullivan wedding blossomed into a peace none of them had ever dared dream of. Nathan gradually learned to set aside guns and syndicate meetings, returning home each dusk to Emily's smile and two rambunctious sons filling the yard with laughter. One early morning, just as Nathan handed Emily her usual cup of coffee, she caught his wrist, pressing his palm against her belly. Her eyes sparkled shyly yet bright with mischief. "Nathan, I have news." He froze, heart pounding louder than any gunshot he'd ever faced. You're... Emily nodded, eyes shimmering. "We're having another little angel." The news turned Sullivan Mansion into a cheerful whirlwind. But the real surprise came at the doctor's appointment. Twins again. This time, two tiny princesses. Ethan and Riley were more excited than anyone, dashing around telling every guard, "We're gonna have baby sisters." Throughout the 9 months, Nathan transformed into the gentlest, most anxious man alive. He and the boys took turns making her tea, carrying her soup, guiding her carefully down the grand staircase. Some evenings, he even washed her hair himself, hands tender as if she were made of glass. When Emily went into labor, a soft rain drizzled against the windows. In the delivery room, Nathan gripped her hand, sweat beading his forehead as much as hers. "I'm right here, not going anywhere, breathe, Emily," he whispered, voice trembling for the first time in his life. When the healthy cries of two baby girls filled the room, Nathan squeezed Emily's hand so tight he nearly lost feeling in his own. Their eyes met, and they both knew nothing in this world could ever break them apart again. A few weeks later, during a tranquil sunset, the Sullivan porch glowed gold in the gentle dusk. Nathan sat beside Emily, one arm around her shoulders. Ethan and Riley cuddled close on either side while two tiny princesses slept soundly on Emily's chest, wrapped in soft blankets. Their family, once a blood-soaked Mafia clan, now knew only warmth, laughter, and an endless sky of peace. Beneath the burning colors of the setting sun, Emily whispered, her lips brushing Nathan's ear, "Thank you for turning all our pain into love." Nathan smiled, pressing a kiss to her hair. "Thank you for giving me 4 reasons to live better every single day." The sun dipped quietly beyond the horizon, and laughter from 2 boys and 2 baby girls danced around the Sullivan porch, where a family of 6 sat hand in hand, watching tomorrow rise together,